Hi, I'm Tetsuka, President of U.S. Transactions Corporation. I recently had the opportunity to present at the MRC, so Merchant Risk Council Virtual Summit on September 23rd, 2025. The summit was on the topic of reimagining payments, and myself, together with Ron Massetti, we had an opportunity to speak to our audience about the topic of the future is open, opening up payments from fragmentation to flexibility. If you'd like to see the entire session, you have to be a member of the Merchant Risk Council, so you can sign up at merchantriskcouncil.org. But I'd like to just give you a brief summary of what I discussed with Rob on our thought leadership session. We had 155 attendees. Many of them are payment companies. Many of them are also practitioners that work at enterprises that are helping their organizations in the multi-channel payment acceptance. So whether that's e-commerce, credit card acceptance through e-portal, payment portal, or alternative payment methods that might be used to accept, or even in-person acceptance in a storefront. So we talked about three main things. Number one is the fragmentation. It's part of our title, but everybody that on the call has been in the industry for a long time. They understand the fragmentation in the industry and the issues it leads to. You don't just call Visa or MasterCard to get set up to be able to accept credit card payments. You have to often use multiple providers in order to get that working. A PCI compliant gateway, a processor, a clearinghouse, your merchant service provider, and then on top of that, there's also maybe a tokenization service you might use, or a card vaulting service. So there's a multitude of software platforms and service providers that you have to use in combination with your own software platforms or e-commerce platforms in order to accept payments. So this fragmentation causes issues because how do you get them all working together in a seamless manner? So our second point was talking about how using an open modern platform, and we call it payment orchestration, how that will help you in order to overcome or to moderate this fragmentation. So using Microsoft Dynamics as a proxy, because our organization built a software solution in Microsoft Dynamics that happens to use Spreedly as the payment orchestration engine. So basically, within Microsoft Dynamics ERP, any enterprise user has the ability to connect into 120 different payment gateways and processors without ever changing the user interface that they have within their ERP or their e-commerce platform. And that's because of using an orchestration platform like a Spreedly in order to connect to all the different service providers. So the third thing that we talked about was how this open modern architecture reduces risk for the enterprise. So there's a couple ways that it can do that. Number one is redundancy or failover, having the built-in ability to just be able to switch over to another payment gateway if one goes down, or if one even has an end of life and is going to be sunsetted. It's happened before. You can actually just cut over to a new payment gateway without ever changing your user interface, without ever having to engage another software app in order to solve that issue. Another example of reducing risk is BYOP. We call it BYOP, bring your own processor. If you're an enterprise that already is using a payment processor, already has a contract in place, and you're coming into a new, let's say, ERP platform or CRM platform. If you can bring that processor in without any interruption. That's a huge advantage. Faster implementation, lower risk because you're using a processor that already you've been using for many years, and you're already familiar with the whole process, and you may have already built in fraud controls utilizing that payment service or payment gateway. Most payment integrations in a software platform, whether it's ERP or CRM, if you choose one payment solution provider, you have to use them as the processor, and you only have that one, what I call monoline solution to work with. That's a lot of risk. So another example would be underwriting risk. You're a company, an enterprise in a higher risk industry where it's difficult to get approved. We've had this example, a company that's selling products that are sold to the CBD industry. They would be very hard to get approved for another merchant account. Well, we were able to take their existing merchant account using Braintree and put them right into Microsoft Dynamics without any interruption. Same thing for companies that might be on a growth spurt and scaling with mergers and acquisitions. New acquisitions, they're using different payment gateways. We can easily bring them into an existing ERP platform while they keep their current merchant service provider. And then finally, I guess I have a fourth point. We did talk about AI. Who's not talking about AI right now? What kind of AI features can you build into a payment solution? We're doing things like a late payment predictor where you can predict if a receivable or a particular customer is going to be late in their payment, even before you sell to them, just based on their history of how they've paid or their DMB reports or other public information about the company. Another example would be automating sales orders, taking a sales order that's coming in from a customer in the form of an email and just plain text language and converting that plain text language into a sales order that's perfectly written up and framed in your ERP solution. So these are a couple examples. Again, if you would like to hear the entire presentation from Ram and myself, go to the MRC, so merchantriskcouncil.org website and sign up for one of their, well, sign up to be a member. They're a great organization and you'll have access to one of many of their presentations that they've done, including ours. Thanks a lot.